Hello YouTube. So today I am going to do a video on two devices. They're two relatively new devices, one slightly newer than the other, but I felt that it was time for another comparison video. So I did one previously of two clones, the Tugboat box mods, and that seems to be quite popular. So I thought this time what I would do is I would do the two of the newest RDTAs that have come out. So the Limitless RDTA and the Theorem Drip Tank. So let's just vape them quickly and we will get down and we'll have a look at them. Right, so first of all, let's have a look at the Theorem. So here's the atomizer, here's the tank, here's the box. You've got lots and lots of bits and pieces of writing on there. Apologies if we go in and out of focus. There we go. So designed by Jabo, inspired by Suck My Mod, made by Wismec. The Theorem atomizer, little Wismec logo on there. And in the box, you get a spare or a different airflow control ring, which cuts it off a single coil. You get some spare glass, which is great. Really nice to have the spare glass actually. You get a additional glass tank with a stainless steel outside with a sort of a notch coil sort of effect on the outside, which is a bit more durable. You get a spare notch coil with some cotton, and it already comes pre-installed with a notch coil with some cotton in there as well. You get a warranty card underneath. And then you get a little baggie of some spare grub screws, Allen screws, an Allen key, some O-rings, another little O-ring for the fill hole down the bottom. And yeah, so nice lot of kit that you get with this, which I quite like. It's nice to have the spare glass, etc., just in case you break anything. So here is the Theorem tank, and this is what comes in the box. Let's go through it from sort of top to bottom. So it comes with its own little glass drip tip, which I'm not a massive fan of. It's quite narrow bore, so I tend to use a dot mod drip tip on this. I've been enjoying that. Then you have an airflow control ring and top cap, as it were. So this piece here, and it's still, apologies, it's all still a little bit juicy, but the airflow control ring comes off, so the top piece comes off here, and then what you have is you have another one of these airflow control rings. As you can see, this one is slightly different to this one. It allows you to have dual airflow, so coming down onto the coil and underneath the coil or at the coil directly. So you effectively put your airflow control ring over this piece like so, and then you can choose how much airflow you want to have. It is a bit fiddly, I won't lie, it is a bit of a pain to adjust, because what you need to do is, once you've got that on, then you need to take this top piece, which is threaded, screw that on like that, making sure that you hold down the base so that you don't rotate your airflow. Now the airflow comes in quite nicely actually. It comes in through these side slots, so you get top down airflow, and the airflow will either come down through this piece here, it will come down through both pieces if you've got this particular top airflow cap on, but it'll come through there, and then it will also come down through this slot so that it hits the side of the coil coming directly in, which is a nice idea, and it gives it a nice airflow. This is a sort of a ceramic, I don't know what it's made of, ceramic or peat block. And then there's another little O-ring just there, which you may or may not be able to see, that you get a spare one of, which seals off your juice flow hole. Then we have your glass tank. Again, sorry, we're going out of focus again. you have your glass tank with this sort of stylized build deck. It's a sort of a T-post in the middle with 2 additional posts at the side, so it's a 3-post design. The notch coil will fit in here, but I've got a Clapton in there, so a single fused Clapton in there. It's about a 2.5mm Clapton, and that works quite nicely. I think it's a better size for the device, just purely because the notch coil is quite large. This is your juice fill hole. So you would put your dropper bottle in there, or your needle, so that it fills up this area, which comprises of the tank section. And then you have these channels down the side, which are your gaps for your wick. So you'd wick the coil normally like an RDA, but then you'd leave them long so that they drape down into your juice and wick up to the coil. So then when you put it all back together, and I'll do this without the tank, what happens is you place this piece on top, so that then you've got a completed tank. This bit blocks that off there. The airflow can come down and up at the coil, or down and straight down onto the coil. And that's how it works. So that is your tank. Let's just throw it back together. Actually, no, I want to show you something else. Something you've got to be very careful with is you've got to make sure that you cut your leads exactly flush. So if you do not cut your leads flush, then this piece will not fit in, because it's actually quite a tight tolerance. So you must make sure that there's no protruding leads from your coil or coils in this side. You can do all sorts of different things with this. As you can see, it's got a massive post hole in there, which allows for quite big builds. So it's more of a slot rather than 2 separate post holes, but you can obviously fit 2 different leads in there. And then you've got your other sides as well. But yeah, so let me just pause this for a second. I will wick it and show you it all wicked, and then we will continue. So there we are. There we have the coil wicked. So that has, what I've done is, in fact, this could probably stand to be just a little bit shorter. What I do is just chop these wicks so that they are nice and fluffy still, but they're just hanging into your juice. They don't want to touch the bottom, I've found, because then you tend to get it burning. I don't know why particularly, but yeah. Then what I do is put the glass back on top. These O-rings aren't the strongest, but they do an alright job, but I do feel that you could pull them off quite easily. And then what you would do is you would place it on a device. Let's find a device. Place it on a device. Let's move this camera out just a touch. Place it on a device. And then you can see the fill hole right down the middle there. You take some liquid. So let's take something, what do we want? Let's put some Taffy Man in there. And as you can see, the glass drip bottles work fine. So you just plonk your juice in there. This is the grape flavour from Taffy Man. Juice that all up. You fill up the tank. It holds only about 2 ml, so it's not a big tank. And then I like to just paint a little bit of juice on those coils, or that coil that I've got in there. And then you are good to go. So it's relatively easy from that perspective. It's nice and straightforward in terms of the wicking. It's nice and straightforward in terms of the filling to a degree. But then all you have to do is, there we go, there's some vapor. So what we've got this open for dual airflow. So we put our top cap in, drip tip on the top, And there you go, a fully completed Theorem atomizer. Now it's got lots of condensation around the sides. I mean, as soon as you start to fire, you're going to get lots of condensation in there, so you won't be able to see much anyway. But it wicks quite nicely. You do tend to find that you get quite a lot. You don't get a lot of hits out of one tank full because it is quite small. But yeah, there it is. It's quite a neat little package. But cool. So let's put that to one side and let's have a look at the Limitless. Right, so here is the Limitless RDTA, sorry, so rebuildable dripping tank atomizer by Limitless and manufactured by iJoy. Less gear in this box, less spares and bits and pieces. Get a little baggie. You get 2 spare grub screws, which I will come on to in a minute. An Allen key, in fact you get 2 Allen keys with this, and a load of spare O-rings, but that's it. So no spare glass in this kit, but again, nice packaging, nice design, but as we know, I'm not that interested in that. And then you get the tank dripper, RDTA, whatever you want to call it, however you want to describe it. Let's look at this from top to bottom again. So at the top you've got a very wide bore drip tip. There's a little adapter there which makes it a little bit narrower, so it brings it down in diameter. That is the sort of the standard drip top. It's almost like just dripping into a very wide bore atomizer if you wanted to, but it comes apart really nicely. Nice protruding 510 on the bottom. You've got this section which is your airflow control and top piece, drip tip, however you want to call it. Then you have your barrel section which just pops off like that. You have your build deck. I've got a pair of I've got dual fuse Clapton in there on velocity style posts, which is absolutely wonderful, really easy to build on. What I was going to say earlier on when I was talking about the grub screws was that this particular set of grub screws, I don't know if this is across the line, across all of them. I've used them a couple of times, so I've rebuilt this 3 times I think now. So this is the 3rd one. I used the coils that it came with, so there's some twisted Canthal coils, and I put 2 Clapton builds in here now. And the grub screws, they strip quite easily. That would be my only gripe with this, I think. Then what you would do is you would remove this top piece, pop that off, and then there you go. It's very straightforward. I'm going to spill juice everywhere I think, but you can see you've got a dual, you've just got like a dripper build deck. So you've got your build deck, you've got your positive and negative posts there, you've got 4 channels for your wicks to go down, as you can see, like that. So it just drops down either side, and then it sits in this little tank juice well. Yeah. Now I have, there we go, and then you put that bit on there. I found the filling is a little bit fiddly sometimes, so you have a fill port there, so you tip it to its side and you just fill through there. If you've got some cotton in the way, it does tend to sort of resist the filling, but generally it's pretty easy to fill. It's pretty good. As I said, I won't re-wick this one now because I just re-wicked it and I've been using it recently and it's all full of juice, and you don't need to see that, do you? But it is really simple. It's 24mm around, so it's bigger than the Theorem, so that's a 22mm device. This is a 24. You have adjustable airflow at the top, so your airflow ring pops on over there. This pops around there, so it's much more traditional. So you've got your knurling across the top, which allows you to close it off. I normally use it probably about 3/4 closed, and I have been using this drip top as well. You can see on the bottom, co-designed by iJoin, Limitless Modco in California. And you know what? This doesn't seem to leak. It really doesn't. You can tip it up on its end, it won't leak, or I haven't found it leaking. But I think that's more due to the amount of cotton that you push into it. I've also found that you want to get a Allen key or some sort of proddy pokey downy thing, so that you can basically, what you want to do is you want to use it to poke your wicks and poke a little bit of air, so that you release the pressure and the vacuum on the inside of the device, so that when you're actually wicking, it's got some air and it allows it to wick up into the tank. But I can't say enough about this. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's brilliant. This one is obviously the black version, velocity style deck. That is the little indicator for where your fill port is, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to turn it that way, take off the top cap and have juice come all over the place. So if you pull that off, you can see there's your fill hole, and that works a treat. Let's get back up to our normal view and let's have a bit of a vape. So, vaping with the Theorem to start with. So this has got a dual, just a fuse collector in there, and it's reading about 0.3. I'm running at 50. There we go. 55.9, 56 watts. And the vape I'm getting is decent. The pros and cons on this particular device. I believe that these two devices are chalk and cheese, basically. So the pros for the Theorem: you get good airflow. I like the airflow. I like the way that it it is quite it's quite free, but it's nice and restrictive at the same time. So you get a nice vape, but if you can see that, you get loads of spit back. So every single time I take a puff, I'm getting a little bit of juice in my mouth, which is not ideal. As I said, I keep on trying different types of wicking methods. I've tried packing cotton all the way in. I've tried putting it just to the top there. As you can see, I've got it as a sort of draped it in, and I think that's the way that it's really sort of intended. But it's just, I'm getting loads of spit back. You also get loads of juice sort of collecting in here. So this is the area which is supposed to be for the airflow block that drops down, and it's got, it's half full of juice from where I've dripped into it. You can sort of drip through the drip top, but it's very narrow and you will just flood the atomizer, I think, really. But yeah, I mean, in terms of pros, it's got good airflow, it's got good flavor, mainly because you're getting juice in your mouth the whole time, but it's good. You get lots of kit with it, so you've got lots of spares, which is really nice. It's nice to see. The cons: juice in my mouth, fiddly to build, spit back. I think it doesn't look the coolest. I mean, it looks nice when you first get it, but as soon as you start building with it, you get condensation, you get juice all over the place, you get gunk. So it's got, I mean, I've vaped this 3 or 4 times, and you've got like burnt bits around it. It looks like you're just sort of vaping the back end of a filter. It looks nasty sometimes. It's fiddly to put the coils in, and you have to make sure that you snip your leads correctly to make sure that they are, they're completely flush when you put it down. But I mean, yeah, I'm not a massive fan. Also, remember, you have to do that sort of Jenny lean, so making sure that your wicks are wet all the time, just like that. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Theorem. Now, the Limitless, on the other hand, bear with me. Yeah, so the Limitless, it is. I mean, I know that I'm prone to exaggerating sometimes, but I think this is my favourite device that I've used to date. I know I've said this about other devices in the past, but it does absolutely everything that I want. The pros, the flavour, fantastic. I think it's brilliant. You can put some decent coils in there. You can put, I mean, I've got this now. This is a 0.19 ohm coil on the Relo. I'm doing this at just a nice sort of 60 watts, so I'm getting 3 and a bit volts out of this. And the flavour is just fabulous. No spit back at all. Even though the coils are so close to your mouth, you can fit a nice pair of dual coils on there very easily, as opposed to the Theorem. You can wick it nicely. Again, I've been experimenting with different wicking types, so just packing it in at the bottom or letting them hang. I've found the best way of wicking this is to let them just cut them just over the lip of the glass. So then you can just do your little lean, wet the wicks a little bit, and then you're all good to go. You can also, if you so wish, use it without that sort of adapter bit, and you can just drip into the top. You do end up getting quite close to your coils there, and if you're running a really hot build, then I suspect you're going to burn your lips a little bit, but I don't tend to run it too hot. The airflow is wonderfully adjustable. It's really easy. You don't have to fiddle around with any top rings or anything like that. As I said, I've got this just over halfway closed, and it's providing me a beautiful, just gentle, smooth airflow. It looks cool. Honestly, there's lots of devices which claim to, give you that RDA sort of experience with a tank. This truly does. It really does. As I said, you can drip onto it, but the flavour is just like an RDA, but you have the convenience of a 4mm tank at the bottom, and I think that's just unsurpassed. It's just fantastic, and they haven't compromised on the looks. I love the logo. I love the size. I think it looks great on the Relo. I think it looks fantastic. I'm just gushing about this. I think it's brilliant. The only cons that I can think of is that there's no spare glass with it. No 510 drip tip, but that's subjective because I don't tend to use the 510 drip tips if I don't want to. I mean, I use things like that, and actually this is probably narrower bore than the Summit drip cap. No glass, and the grub screws are a little bit rubbish. But other than that, I think you would be hard pressed to find a better way to spend £24. That's it, 24 quid on this. The Theorem, again, is similar sort of price range, but for 24 quid, you cannot go wrong. You just can't. I can't say enough about this. I will be buying another one. I will be buying a stainless steel one, and I will report back on how that turns out in terms of the other bits like the grub screws. Yeah, I'm sold, absolutely sold, and I hope you are too. I think the two devices are chalk and cheese. One is a well thought out, well designed, well executed, well built, sensibly priced, genuine alternative to a dripper for when you're driving or when you don't want to, or you can't drip. The other one is an over-engineered bit of fun, which it looks like someone has just sort of played with all of the things they can do. I can't wait to see what they do with it next. I'm sure they will do something about it. They will change things up, but as it sits, this is my #1 device. I'm sure this is going to be one of my favorite devices of the year. thank you very much indeed for this, for watching this long and rambling, ranty sort of video. But thank you very much indeed, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Goodbye.